Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to Metal March, the series where I'm listening to a different metal album throughout the month of March. These are first reactions only, reacting to whatever metal albums I feel like in the moment, or your suggestions, of course, that you can leave down in the comment section down below. For this video, of course, you read it already, we are doing Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. This will be the first Black Sabbath album I have listened to in full. Of course, I'm familiar with their, major famous hits such as Iron Man or War Pigs or Paranoid. How do you not know those? But that being said, I've never listened to a full album front to back, and I'm choosing this one simply because it is considered their most critically acclaimed by many. Among the fans, I see it to be the most highly rated, the most celebrated, the most often named album when it comes to just picking a fan favorite and the objective best, I would say. Here we are, 1971. 8 tracks, only 34 minutes, so, it's short, but boy did that pack a punch from what I'm hearing. But let's start with Sweet Leaf. Kicking it off with a cough. Got that throwback metal sound, which is quite different from the last video we did of Mastodon. I love the distortion in the guitars. It's such a staple within the genre, and the riff it's routing on here is nice and steady, kind of sludgy. I love how clean the drums are in comparison to the very, rough distorted guitars. 1971, of course, Black Sabbath being the forefathers and one of the originators of the genre of heavy metal. Oh, the drumming is like a machine gun. Anybody who's seen my videos before knows that I am a sucker for just, drums in general. Especially like a pummeling drum like this. I feel like we're on a ride with this guitar. We're like just shooting down a road, like flying by. This is an absolutely stellar intro track. Oh, wait, right back into the slow, sludgy groove. Sweet Leaf was fantastic. Next, we're going into After Forever. I thought Sweet Leaf was a brilliant opener. The drumming, impeccable. That middle bridge section where it just kind of excelled and was super fast-paced and really just berated you with sound was gorgeous. And that cutoff right back into that slow groove. Here's After Forever. I think I need to get my eyes checked. This is After Forever. Continuing the album. The classic kind of hard rock style to it certainly makes it a lot more accessible to someone like myself who's not too familiar with heavy metal. I think the fact that I haven't said anything about Ozzy's voice is actually a compliment, simply because it's so, I'm so used to it, I'm so familiar with it, and I think it is such a staple, not only to the metal genre, but to music in general. He stands out on his own as a unique voice. I think maybe Led Zeppelin's the only one around that time that was really kind of matching his energy and tone. Certainly Robert Plant is a little bit more blues focused, whereas Ozzy Osbourne, he's got that almost animalistic energy to him. But continuing on, great vocalist is what I'm saying. A nice heavy breakdown. A very religious, heavy track I did not expect in the heavy metal canon, considering heavy metal is usually more focused on, devil worship. Who would have thought such a religiously focused track? From Black Sabbath, no less. The bass line, especially, is just, it's like really hidden and buried in there, but it's a nice bass line. You hear it like ascend and then descend. I love the more hard rock, almost bluesy breakdowns that we're getting on this album. Nice blend. Oh, I love the way it's mixed, as it's kind of cycling from ear to ear, this guitar. Has a nice like psychedelic tone too to this track. Ooh, I like the effect on the end there. Solid track, nice psychedelic, kind of a throwback sound to it. I guess, I mean, given the time, it makes sense, but it feels even earlier than 1971, while at the same time feeling very ahead of its time with a more metal-esque tone to it. Here's Embryo. It's only 30 seconds. I'm assuming this is just a instrumental. Kind of bridging the gaps. We'll play right into the next track, Children of the Grave, which is 138 million streams, the most popular track here. We'll see if it rings any bells for me. Oh, it does sound kind of familiar. At least that one riff there, that kind of hard-hitting one. I like the more airy sound to the drums as well. I don't know if I know this one, but I do like the that kind of clangy, rattly effect to the drums here. It's like a more primitive sound. Oh, that like soaring, like ripping guitar sound. Seems like a war-torn track from what I'm gathering. Now, anti-war tracks, that's something I expect in the heavy metal canon because it seems to exist pretty broadly throughout the genre. The very like almost hippie culture to this album so far is shocking. Spreading love and positivity. But maybe that's something in metal music that I never picked up on. Maybe that's an ethos that they carry, similar to punk. I think that's Tommy Iommi? Is that his name? On the guitar? Oh, that cleaner produced section here really just kicking in. Oh, I love the way it's like, that's like probably the heaviest part of the track. It really just latches onto you, kind of shakes you. But we still have a bit of time left. Oh, it's getting more eerie here. So are we gonna wind down? Or is there gonna be a last barrage of sounds? Oh. More eerie than anything. Just a slow, disturbed outro. Ooh, kind of desolate. Children of the Grave was pretty great. Again, I'm really digging the more hard rock tone to it, but that's just coming from somebody who is, you know, it's just what I know already. So it's such a familiar element, but it'll definitely help ease me into some of the more metal-esque stuff that I want to get into. I would like to get into some pretty extreme cases of metal as well, if I can, by the end of the month. But here's Orchid, continuing on 1:30. I'm assuming also an instrumental. There's no lyric page for this one. And, ooh, it's got a nice, more acoustic tone to it. No drumming on this one, too. Just a very sweet melody. Kind of like the orchid it's named after. I like that one. Short, sweet, right to the point, and Lord of this World. And just like right back into those noisy, distorted guitars. Very sludgy. I think this is a precursor or a originator in the sludge metal sound. And stoner metal as well, which I am familiar with. I've always liked stoner metal tracks. Sleep especially is a pretty good band that does it. I'm really digging the slower kind of pacing of this one. A little switch up. Really liking the diverse instrumentation as well. I don't know if that was a cowbell possibly of some sort being implemented at one point. Certainly, yeah, you can really hear in this track especially the more stoner metal-esque tone that would go on to influence a huge genre. Or I guess create a huge genre, I should say. I'm thinking out of all these efforts so far, I think Sweet Leaf is my favorite, but I am enjoying pretty much every track here. There's that, was that a cowbell? I think that's a cowbell of some sort. Really digging the guitar work as well on this album. The way it kind of like just, you know, escalates and takes you on a ride, takes you on a journey, it feels like. It's certainly the guiding force of the tracks. And that one's Lord of this World. I love that one. Thought it was great. Stoner metal track for sure. Definitely, I feel like, you know, the elements of stoner metal are the strongest, it seems, within that track. But here it is, Solitude. 5 minutes. This album's quite short. Feels like we're just going from track to track to track, and before we know it, we're going to be rounding things out. 34 minutes. I'm liking this gentle tone. It's taking its time. It's a nice dreamy tone to this one. Kind of reminds me of King Crimson as well. Some of their more gentle tracks. I'm a big fan of the flute. Anybody that watches my videos will know that. I love a good flute. It's got such a whimsy to it. Kind of like a tranquility to it too. It really gives into this kind of smoky, mysterious atmosphere of the track so far. And the bass as well. It's certainly shining on this track quite a bit. Oh. Like the nice echoing on his vocals, that like reverb. Again, giving into that very smoky, dreamy atmosphere. So far, this track is just really hitting me. Maybe because it's so different from what I've expected. That was a nice track. Really just got lost in it as it went along. It's just nice and sweet and gentle. And certainly a nice little switch up in tone. One of my favorites so far, just on a first listen, I'd say. And last, we're going into the Void. 6 minutes to close things out. Really taking its time as it's building up this really solid riff. Oh. Kicking into fifth gear here. A nice muddy tone to it as well. Those I'm trying to figure where that is, like the guitar maybe in the background. Themes of pollution very much have their time. Oh, getting this like almost thrashy element now with how fast paced this is. I can't even like keep track of this drummer. I think the themes of flying in a rocket shape and getting away from planet Earth due to pollution. This album right here, Infest the Rat's Nest by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, is a fantastic album that kind of takes that concept and stretches it into a whole concept album. But not saying they stole it, not saying that, you know, this is any lesser or anything like that, just pointing out a comparison between the two. But if you like this track and the idea behind it, perhaps you will dig that. So, great band. Make a home where love is there to stay, peace and happiness in every day. What a like hippie theme within this album that I certainly did not expect in the metal genre. But again, maybe that's something that is part of the genre that I was just never familiar with myself. Again, I'm pretty unfamiliar with metal music as a whole. Throw up the list right now of the ones I know. There's a list of albums I am familiar with. I'm used to a much more almost negative look on things. Oh, well. What an incredible outro to the album. Playing off one another, different riffs, different, you know, switch ups in style and tone, little guitar solos here and there, closing it all out. And this drummer, wow, what a finish. Before Sweet Leaf starts, as much as I love that track, we are going to end it here because that is it for Master of Reality from Black Sabbath. And at 34 minutes, 24 seconds, it's a pretty short listen, and it covers a lot of ground. You can see the, you know, seeds of stoner metal some elements of thrash, I would argue. Into the Void kind of carries a little bit of that in the forefront at the beginning, and as well as some doom metal elements. There's really a lot going on here, while at the same time it's still pretty accessible for anyone who is familiar with just like your basic hard rock of the 70s or the 60s. Something like Led Zeppelin-esque, who again, another band that is credited for birthing metal in a way. But Black Sabbath was really the ones that kind of took the torch, I think, and brought it forward to the forefront. No complaints is what I'm trying to say here. Embryo was a pretty short track, just like a little instrumental. So if I really had a nitpick, I guess I would say that's my least favorite track. It doesn't really count. But Solitude was probably my favorite track. I know it's not really the most metal leaning of the bunch, but I just loved how gentle and sweet it was. I love the flute. A really great track about what I would gather a sense of loneliness. And Sweetleaf, if we're going to talk about metal in general and just the more metal tones of the album, Sweetleaf might be my favorite, but I did like Alter Forever. I loved Orchid as an instrumental. I thought was fantastic. Children of the Grave, I don't know, maybe that one's my no, Lord of the World I think is going to be my least favorite if I had to pick one. But Children of the Grave I think will take more listens, despite the fact that it is the most popular here. It did not hit me as much as some of the other tracks did. And I thought Into the Void was a great finisher, and I thought that final minute or so was just super energetic in the way it kind of riffed off one another and the way it kind of exploded in sound as it closed out. Great album, great short LP that does a lot with its short runtime. And if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. If you want to suggest a metal album, go ahead and drop it down in the comment section down below. I will try to check it out this month if I can, throughout the month of Metal March, like I said we are doing on the channel. And as always, my name is Randy Joe, and I'm signing off.